Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us. K&A Custom Crafts on Facebook.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Coast Entertainment Network. I'm here with my co-host. It's the Bo and Joe show. We switch it up, but I like to give Bo top billing. He's the expert here. I'm just learning. I'm tagging on his coattails. Probably by next year, it's going to be the Joe and Bo show. We'll flip it around. Hi, Bo. How's it going? How's the week been? What's happening?
Hey, Joe, how are you? Things are good, busy. Lots going on in the sports world, no doubt about it. And let's jump to it because I didn't know this was a thing, right? I didn't know this was a thing that women in the Olympics are being fined because of what they wear. I'm like, what? So in one way, one group of athletes has a specific uniform, and then there's another group of athletes that have a specific type of uniform. And if they don't adhere to that design or the uniform, they get fined. I'm going, hold on, this is crazy. This is crazy. So, I'm like, that. I don't know what to say about it. I would lose my mind. If my daughter was in the Olympics and someone fined her for a uniform malfunction, I would lose my mind.
Well, I think it's more than just a uniform malfunction. It's that, for instance, the beach volleyball players have to wear a bikini. So it may be a violation of their standards. Think about, and I don't know if this is, I'm just going off the cuff here because I don't know all of the details, but think about if you had a team from a Muslim country where they're not supposed to show any skin. So are we precluding them from the Olympics because of their religious beliefs and they're not going to be wearing bikinis? I mean, I never thought about it in that context, but that certainly doesn't seem to be in the spirit of the Olympics and world unity and peace and harmony and all of those things.
Well, that was part of my point I think I made last week. We need more women in the decision-making process in terms of the folks that govern the Olympics, because they would be able to say, let's collectively as women make this decision versus these men arbitrarily saying the volleyball players has to wear a bikini this thin versus this thick. I mean, come on. It's just inches. In other words, the rule is it has to be thinner, where the women are like, oh no, I want it a little bit thicker. In other words, I want less skin showing versus more skin showing. And they're getting fined for that. I'm like this. And then you have another group. What was the other group? There's another group. I forget what the sport is, but they actually wear shorts, right? They actually wear shorts. And they get fined if the shorts are designed in the wrong way. I'm like, hold on. You can't have it both ways. You can't say the women playing volleyball has to have no clothes on, and then the women playing softball or whatever that other sport was have to have everything covered. That makes no sense.
Well, not only doesn't it make sense, think of how demeaning that is. What a detraction that is from your talent. Here you have the world-class athletes who have to take focus away from what their jobs essentially, because like we've discussed, these are professional athletes, their jobs to worry and to pay attention to what they're wearing and the scrutiny and the angst that comes with it. Justin has a great comment. Well, I love this too. Randy saying it's a double standard, but I don't know if you read this, but Pink, the singer, paid for the Hungary women's team's fine. So when they were fined for for the whatever the violation was against her wardrobe, which I thought was great.
Good.
So Brandon has a great comment. I agree with Bo. Need more women making the call, and I think that's I'm the only woman on the show, so I'm going to speak on behalf of women. But that historically, we speak about that all the time, that men are making decisions based on women's bodies, based on our fertility, based on our sexuality. And how ridiculous is that? I mean, that's going back for hundreds of years. And certainly we've made strides, but I certainly don't want any man telling me what type of all right, I'm going to go here. What type of tampon is the best? I mean, I want a woman in there making the design. I want women in industries that pertain to women to be the ones making decisions. And that's not to say that some men aren't. There are many men who are supportive and capable, but they should not be making all the decisions on women's behalf. I will certainly say that.
Agreed. That was my opening rant. That drove me crazy. I was throwing stuff at the TV.
All right. Well, we don't want to do that. Well, maybe there are some women executives at the TV companies who can make a television that a remote would bounce right off of. That could be their next project, because they're certainly technologically.
Well, there are new CEOs, new women running some of the networks now. So maybe they can, when the next big meeting comes regarding the next Olympics, which is in 3 years, not 4 years, because we're back a year, right? Maybe they can maybe they can put their foot down and say, hey, listen, this has got to go. We've got to do something about this.
The reality is I'm going to bring Randy's comment out too, because he's also supporting us. Women need to make the call about women as men make the call for men. And I think that there can be some commingling there. I mean, certainly there's always room for collaboration, but I mean, there's certainly, it should be diverse. It's certainly in regards to that. But I'd have to weigh in that it doesn't start in 3 years. I think it probably starts, the day after the closing ceremonies. I mean, these things probably take years. So really, it should be ongoing, and it should be from day one. I think, I believe, and it probably is. I mean, that's certainly a planning process. They're probably already planning already. Where is the next Olympics in the Summer Games? Justin, check that out.
Yeah, Justin knows.
Yeah, Justin will find it. So here, Brandon, I love this. I got to put Brandon up because we need Queen Joanne to move into the White House. All right, that's our next step. I'll be president. Bo can be vice president. We'll work on that. That could be our next campaign.
Woohoo!
But I think we have a lot to celebrate in the realm of women's sports as well this week. Before we get to the celebrations, I do believe this is a celebration. Simone Biles won the bronze. It's certainly not the Olympics that I would imagine that she wanted. So that didn't come out for her, but her heir apparent certainly held the torch for her, right? And I forgot her last name. What is it? Justin, get on that for me. Suni, wasn't it? Isn't her name Suni? I forgot her last name. Justin, who won the gold? Who's the young up and coming? Well, she's not even up and coming anymore. She's here. She took center stage, and she may have beat Simone. She may have beat Simone even if Simone had been competing.
Yeah, she did a great job.
Yeah, she did a great job.
She did a great job, and she's got a great story. Her dad fell out of a paralyzed from the chest down, and she thought about quitting, and she kept fighting and fought her way through that. And so that's a good story. Those are the kind of stories you love to hear, people persevering. The athlete's backstory. So that's just one of the great ones. I mean, there were so many. All
right. So Justin's responding, and he's telling us that the next Summer Olympics are in France. That would be great. Bo and Joe on location in France. I've always wanted to check it out. I haven't been there yet. So that could
never been. I'm with you. I'll be in tow behind Joe. I've never been.
I haven't either. So that is one place I've wanted to go. I've been to Europe, but never to France. So certainly we'll have media credentials by then. So I'm sure we'll be on the Today Show potentially. We'll be hosting that. We'll have to put in our application now. So Justin, I want you to pull up the young woman's name who won the gold in the gymnastics. I want to speak about her. But did you see this story, the diving story? That was potentially one of my favorite moments of this Olympics. The one I'm gonna Krista Palmer. Did you hear her story?
I did not.
So she was she had been training, she had been doing gymnastics and trampoline for about 7 years, and she sustained an injury when she was 20. And so somehow along the line, she was introduced to a coach in college, and she took up diving at 20 years of age. And then now she's 29. She was in the Olympics, and she broke the women's. I don't believe that we've had a U.S. diving medal in 53 years, I think they said. Oh, no, maybe that was track and field. So let me see. So maybe it wasn't. Oh, since 1988. So it's been some time. And she did a surprise upset, and she won the bronze at 29 years of old after taking the sport. And her parents have a very compelling story. I love it. Her father is a truck driver, and they sold their home and the truck driving company. And I believe it's Schneider's Trucking. And I'm throwing that out there because I think that they're so supportive of the family. Anytime she had a match, they would reroute his route and make it so that he could come to any of her meets or any matches across the country. And they let the mom travel with them, and they sold their home. And now essentially they just drive around the country and follow their daughter's victory tour. So I think that's an amazing story. I love stories like that.
Great story. Absolutely a great story. Yep, I agree. Yep, I didn't hear about it. Totally a great story. I have one for you. There's a woman who won the wrestling gold medal.
I saw it. She was
saw that.
Yeah.
And she's got a compelling story. Her dad died in a car accident traveling to or from, I forget which one of her events. And she persevered, kept at it, didn't quit. And I think if I'm not mistaken, Justin, you can check me on this. I think she's the first woman in the heavyweight division to win a gold medal. So, and she's African American. So,
Justin's already on it. Justin,
he's on it.
He had the comment before we even had him. So
look at him. Yeah, he's on it.
He's on it. Tamyra Mensah-Stock. I saw that. I did not see her. I did see her gold medal victory, and it was an impressive match. Wasn't she down? And then she came up and she wasn't down, but I think they tied. And in the last 30 seconds, then she went up to 10 points. So that was very impressive. Agreed.
Lots of great stories and lots of great stories. Now the men's basketball team is trying to get their groove back, right? Kevin Durant helped them win. So we won't necessarily need to be disappointed until they lose. And you never know. They might pull it out, and if not win the gold medal, they're gonna medal. The question is, are they gonna get the gold? So they're getting their feet back under them. So
I just want to put this up. Brandon, thank you. He said Suni Lee.
Suni Lee.
So we certainly want to give her credit. That was a very impressive run for her, and I think. I don't know. What do you think about the whole twisties thing? I think it's very compelling, and I can't imagine having a disconnect between my body and my mind, and the fear that must prompt in an athlete. I know that people were doubting it, but I have to believe it's true. I believe in the connection between mind and body, and I think that must be terrifying.
Remember what we talked about last week? I said, listen. I'm not interested in hearing Monday morning quarterbacks because they have no idea what she's going through, what she's dealing with. Only people that have competed. I mean, I don't even know because I've never participated in that type of sport. I have somewhat of an idea because I was used to banging heads and getting concussions and all those kinds of things. And people don't know unless they participated. So, but here's the other thing. I just heard today that a family member passed away 2 or 3 days ago. So before she even competed for the bronze medal, she had another thing hit her. So people, we talked about it. It's always good to. It's probably tough because of social media, but I like to think that she has the ability to hire someone to show her the positive social media versus the negative. But some stuff you're going to hear if you watch TV, right?
Right.
But she did an amazing job, and so it just shows you just life hits you, you deal with it, and see what happens. She's lucky enough that she didn't need to use the whole entire 2 weeks. Remember, she said usually it takes 2 weeks for it to go away. So it had a shortened time frame, so she was able to compete on the balance beam. Boom, and she won it. She won the bronze, and that's the same level that she achieved the bronze in the last Olympics. So in other words, she didn't win the gold and the gold the last Olympics, and then she fell down. She's at the same level. So she was happy with herself.
So I don't know if you saw the young woman who actually won the gold. It was the young woman, just a teenager from China. But they clipped to the sidelines, and you could see Simone cheering her on. I mean, and she was. You could even afterwards they put it on. You could hear her just saying, "Come on, you can do it." So here she is cheering on her competitor and putting out words of support, which you certainly wouldn't see that on the basketball court. It just really speaks to or on the football sidelines. It speaks to the testament of her character, because certainly I'm sure in her heart she would have liked to have won, but she's just such I think an endearing personality as well.
That's why the Olympics is necessary, because it's a global sport in terms of a competition, folks coming from all around the world, and it shows how sports can have a positive effect in people's lives. People will cross country lines, they will cross ethnic lines, religious lines, and support each other, right? There was a woman who fell during a track and field competition, and she got a little bit of help up and got back in the race and won. And I mean, that was just amazing in itself. The fact that she came back and won, but the fact that the other competitors were all happy for her, because they understand what it takes to literally fall down and get back up and walk people down and win the race.
I love
so
that.
It's a lot of great stories.
A lot of great stories. So Randy, you told us, and I'm not going to pronounce that right. I think it's Guan Chen of China wins the gold, but she's just, I loved watching her as well. Certainly a talent. So Justin's asking what we think on our thoughts on the beach volleyball team. I think there are two impressive women as well. I think it's Alex Kleinman and April Ross. They are two impressive athletes. I believe Alex is 31 and April's 39. So they're not, they've been in the shadows of, Kerri Walsh for decades, right? Kerri Walsh and Misty Traynor were the two powerhouses in beach volleyball for 2 decades. And so they are going for the gold. I think they won the semifinals today, and they're in the gold medal match. That is something I enjoy watching. I don't love the men as much, but I certainly enjoy watching women's beach volleyball. So Justin's saying they won today, but I believe they won the semifinals, and they're going into the gold medal. They're going for gold, right? Thanks, Justin. So they're going for the gold medal match, and I'm excited about that. I love them.
I absolutely enjoy volleyball. Especially beach volleyball, being a Floridian. But in terms of those two young ladies, they paid their dues. They waited the time out, and now it's their time to shine, and they're taking advantage of it. And in some sports, that's what happens. Not every, sometimes you get stuck behind Dan Marino and Roger Staubach and Brett Favre and Randall Cunningham and Warren Moon. You get stuck behind those guys, and then when they retire, then it's your time to shine. So more power to them.
Yep. And think about it. They're just coming into their own. 39 is, she's been on the scene certainly, but they've always been in their shadow. So Jason, my buddy Jason's on, and he's asking a question. Bodine, do you believe surfing should be an Olympic sport?
Yes. Yes, it's a sport. Absolutely. Have you ever tried to surf? It's hard. You can get hurt. You can get eaten by a shark in some parts of the world. Absolutely.
Well, I'm lucky if I can stand up in a wave, nevertheless ride one in on a surfboard. and battling sharks, well, I'm afraid of the jellyfish. I don't even get far enough out there to worry about the sharks. So I have to agree with you. I think surfing is certainly an athletic endeavor. I think it's really difficult. I applaud those people. Think about the upper body strength you need to have to really be a talented surfer.
And the lower body balance and strength you have to. But I mean, the bottom line, if it's difficult to do and you have to master it, the chances are you have to sacrifice parts of your life in order to do that. You can't just walk out on the beach and say, I'm going to be a surfer, right? So absolutely, it's a sport, because just like any other sport, most of the athletes have to sacrifice something personally in order to get to that high level.
So Jason wants to clarify. He's not saying he doesn't believe it should be an Olympic sport.
All right, Jason, I'm with you, bro. I'm with you.
So we got a special comment here from your buddy, and I don't know if this is true or not, but Adrian, I don't know. Did you see that breakdancing is coming as an Olympic sport?
I think I heard about that. And, hey, listen, if the powers that be have done the research and feel that it can be competitive, I mean, don't they compete in synchronized swimming? Is that an Olympic sport? Synchronized swimming?
It is, but they've actually changed it to, it's now called artistic swimming.
Okay. So, hey, why not dancing or some type of dancing, right? And Adrian is my buddy from Villanova who played baseball, who owns the Baseball Academy. So we talked, and he's definitely looking to assist us during the end of the baseball season if we need him.
All right, great. So Jason, one of the Barber brothers, is on. Did you hear that, Jay? We got a ringer for one of our baseball shows. We're bringing the talent in, the high price talent. So Jason, since we're talking about breakdancing, he's thrown out another sporting event. So he wants to know if we think cornhole should be an Olympic sport.
You got me. I don't even know what that is.
That's like the beanbag toss. You see it all the barbecues.
Simmer down, Stallion. Give me a chance to catch up on that game. I've seen it. I don't know how to play it. I'm assuming it's like horseshoes, right? The goal is to throw the beanbag and get it in the hole, just like horseshoes. The goal is to throw the horseshoe and get it in the pike, in the stick. Yeah, I mean, I have no idea. What do you think, Joe? I haven't thought of it. You got me.
I think Jason's biased because he went camping this weekend and there was a cornhole tournament and he beat all the drunk individuals at the campground. So he's probably thinking he's going to make the Olympic team, but I think that we could probably hold off on that one. So I wouldn't go with that one, but Adrian is saying if breakdancing's in, then bowling needs to be in. I think bowling should be in. I mean, bowling's a tough sport, actually.
Wasn't bowling in for a while, or was it never in? Was bowling never in?
Where's our fact checker? Justin, was bowling?
Bowling should be. Bowling should be. If they brought softball back and baseball back and some of these other sports back, I wouldn't mind seeing a bowling competition to see who's the gold medal greatest bowler on the planet. Sure.
So this isn't Adrian. Actually, it's George. George, I'm sorry, I misspoke. So George is also saying his 10-year-old son bowls over 200. I think that then, I think that there's a lot of competitive bowling, and certainly But would that be a summer sport or more of a winter sport? I mean, it's not a winter sport, but it's really that we played in the winter, at least in New York, where we don't. It's kind of one of those sports that could be either.
Well, I guess the question is, why isn't bowling in the Olympics? Is it a money thing? Right? Is it a business decision? Who knows?
So
here comes Randy.
Randy, bowling was featured in the Summer Olympic Games demonstration program in 1988.
Randy got me putting my glasses on. I'm sorry.
So it was a demonstration, but they never brought it back in. They never brought it in officially. Bowling was never in. They're trying to get in. The IOC needs to approve it. Justin commented too.
All right.
So bowling was never officially in, but I think it should be. If we're putting skateboarding in, why not bowling?
So it's kind of like the Hall of Fame. They need a group of people to lobby the IOC and get it in, and it's probably money. Right.
Right. Everything.
How much money can we generate from adding this sport into the event? Right. Sponsorships and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So we're pushing the envelope now. Brandon's asking this. I don't even know if I consider this a sport, but it potentially is. How about competitive eating?
No. I'm putting my foot down, Brandon. No. No,
I agree.
No,
that's more of a spectacle to me. That's more of entertainment.
Brandon, we don't need to see people regurgitating during the Olympics. Come on, man. No, let that be a 4th of July or a holiday event, but not for the Olympics.
Agreed. So Randy's saying he'll lobby the IOC to get bowling in. So I have to assume then. I have to assume Randy's a good bowler then. So I think that people agree. People like the people when you're good at a sport, you like to see it showcased. I believe that. And,
I would literally watch that.
Yeah, I would too.
I would
too.
Just to see Americans compete against the world and other countries. I would like to see, because there are going to be some really good bowlers, and everybody has their own technique of how they bowl, and there's a strategy involved, right? When certain pins are still up, right? Oh, I'd love to see that. Absolutely.
So we're still on the competitive eating. Brandon agrees. He agrees with us. But, and George is saying we would have so much fun hanging in all the wrong ways.
Yep, I agree.
So you never know where the Bo and Joe show is going to go. We never thought we were going to talk about regurgitation, but hey, we're willing to go anywhere for the viewers. We'll talk about anything. So let's delve into track and field. There were some very impressive women on the track. Did you see any of that?
I saw some highlights. Absolutely.
So did you see Athing Ma? She ends the U.S. drought in the 800-meter goal. We hadn't had an Olympic medal in 53 years in that sport. And then we had Raven Rogers came behind her to win the bronze. I thought it was very interesting. She had a hairpin in that said confidence. She knew she was going to win it. She went out and she did it. And I think that's really, it takes a measure of confidence. There's some some fast women out there and men too. I want to give the men some shout outs on the track and field too, but I always find it so fascinating that these people can run 100 meters in 20 seconds. It's just so impressive to me.
Oh, it's amazing. And I competed in the 800 in junior high school and a little bit in high school, senior high school. Let me tell you, 2 times around that track is not easy at a high rate of speed. And the speeds that they do it is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
So Adrian's telling us for both the men and the women, there are world records on both sides. And I think it was impressive. And it amazes me that every single game, Worlds and Olympics, they always break that record. The record is almost broken every single game. They just get a little bit faster and a little bit faster. And I don't know. I think that they, I'm sure they train better, but they also, speaking about clothing, they also reinvent the apparel, right? And swimming now, they have a bodysuit that makes them more dynamic and prevents a little bit of the drafting. So it's impressive that you don't even think about that, how the clothing factors into it. But it's really a complicated and multifaceted dynamic to be a world-class Olympic athlete.
It's a combination of all those things you just named, right? If they have a goal of a time and they know, and they're practicing, right? And they're figuring out how fast they need to run in order to beat that time. And then the combination of, okay, what can I wear to help me as the athlete fight through that, because there could be wind, right? You could be trailing someone, right? You could be in front. So the leader is really fighting off and creating that, that aerodynamic, wind resistance, lack of a better way of describing it. So yeah, it's all about strategy, right? So yeah, a lot goes into it.
And then you had Sydney McLaughlin. She won the golds and broke a world record, and she beat her rival Delilah. I'm going to say her name. I think it's Dalila.
You talking about the hurdles? Are you talking about the hurdles?
Yeah, the hurdles. Yeah. I mean, that was impressive.
Yeah.
The hurdles, I always find that mesmerizing, how they can just move and get their leg up there. And then they got that sprint at the track. But those two women, Dalila Muhammad and Sydney McLaughlin, they were rivals and teammates. I don't want to say rivals. It seems as if they have a fondness for one another. So yeah. I'd love to see that.
They probably worked out together a lot to push each other. Which helps beat the record, because if you're both competing together, working out rather, practicing together, and you both, want to break a record, well, they both did, right? They both broke the record, but the name of the person that won, their name is first.
Their name is first, but I think it must be even if you're not first and your country wins and you're still standing on the podium.
Oh, absolutely.
How much more emotional it is that you're still hearing your anthem. So I always like it when I always thought they were going to sweep 1, 2, 3, but they didn't. I always love when that happens, when we have three U.S. Olympians, 3 U.S. athletes on the podium at the same time. So George is saying hurdles hurt a lot when you go that leg over shin splint.
Oh, I bet they do.
Probably more than shin splints. You got a hurdle abrasions. I'm sure it's more than just a sprint.
Oh, you can hit your knee. You can hit any part of that leg that doesn't clear it, and then the chances are you're going to fall.
True.
Right.
Yeah,
and then
definitely.
Right.
And get entangled in that. Yeah.
Oh.
I'm sure they're pretty light, but so the U.S. is trailing in gold medals. We do have the most medals overall. I checked right before we came on. We're at 79. China's at 70, but China is ahead of us in the gold medals. What do you think of that? I mean, do you think it's 79 to 70? We have 70 over 79 overall. They have 70. What's more important, the medal count or the count of gold?
Yeah, it's the medal count. But what's the difference between gold medals?
Oh, I don't know. I forgot to write that down.
Justin? It's not over yet. It's not over yet, right? Not over yet. Not over yet. Yep. So we will win the overall medal count because we send more athletes, because we are competing country, right? We love our sports. We compete, and so we take it seriously, and we can fund our athletes. A lot of countries can't fund their athletes, so they can't compete, they can't practice, then that means they can't make it. So yeah, so but we'll be fine. Anybody come up with the count yet?
Yeah, they did. Brandon is saying seven is the difference. Adrian said approximately 8, so
Yeah.
must be 7. And Brandon's
Yeah.
saying, as Ricky Bobby says, if you're not first, you're last. That's from
Right.
Talladega Nights.
But it's not over with because the games are over on Sunday, right? Sunday.
Okay.
So we've got today, tomorrow, Friday, Saturday. There's more team events, right, that are still available. So we could end up blowing these guys out of the water by the end of it. So it's not over yet.
So China has 32 and USA 25. So third place is Russia, and I believe they only have 53 medals overall. I thought that was very surprising.
Yeah, they got some issues because of their reputation of cheating and doping. So, and they're not even competing under the Russian, moniker. They're competing under a different, sign or moniker this year. So, because they were banned, and the IOC didn't want to hurt those athletes that were clean, so they allowed them to participate, under a different, symbol or country sign or symbol. So.
Well, I don't like to call out anybody for performance enhancing substances, but we may have to ban Adrian Ferris because he's telling us he's all jacked up on Mountain Dew. He may be banned from the program. Maybe we'll just give him a fine or a penalty. But
is that a Coca-Cola product? Because he's in the ATL area, so he may be, that's Coca-Cola country. He may be jacked up on that product.
So what's going on with the? So let's talk about women's soccer. That was a big upset. They did not get gold. They are going to be competing for bronze. I believe it's tomorrow, and yeah, what do you think? So Adrian's correcting me. He's saying he's not on the substance. That's a quote from Ricky Bobby. I never actually saw that movie in entirety, so I missed that. But
I never watched it either. Yeah,
but it came into perfect time when we were talking about the substance ban. Sorry, Adrian. I didn't mean to call you out.
Somebody had to call him out.
But yeah, I think that I think I was shocked at that, and there was some discussion about it. I don't know if you saw any of the commentary or interviews afterwards. And Megan, and now I'm thinking Megan Trainor, but she's the singer.
Megan Rapinoe.
Yeah, Rapinoe. So she was saying that, there just wasn't she didn't say it in so many words, but there really wasn't the camaraderie, and they didn't work together as the team from 4 years ago. And I think they made some mistakes, and she admitted to that, and it was a tough loss. She said it was a very difficult loss. They still want to get gold. They still want to obviously win a medal, but bronze, I think, in the heart of an Olympian just isn't the same as gold.
Well, I think when you think about the pandemic leading up to these Olympics, Americans had the ability to stay home and stay safe, where other countries that are not democratic countries force their athletes to continue preparing. And I don't have proof of that, but if you're in a country where you don't have a choice, like the young lady who defected, right? So that's what's great about living in America. We have a choice to say, hey, I'm not going to jeopardize my life. Let me practice on my own and stay healthy on my own. And unfortunately had, a negative effect on chemistry, because we know in soccer and football and all those sports where there's multiple people on the field at the same time, you've got to have chemistry. Without chemistry, you can't win.
Right. Agreed.
That's a perfect example. So they didn't have a chance to practice together a lot, is basically what she was saying.
Right. Okay. So George is speaking. We're going to change gears. I think this is important. We've spoken about this. I mean, it's part of the mental health, and I think really almost the abuse of some of the athletes. So George is saying, speaking of reporters in the Olympics, after the U.S. wrestler won gold, the reporter asked her, "Your dad passed away. What do you think he would say?" So I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think about that? I think it's a question I've actually asked people in years later, and I've asked their permission ahead of time. I think she was probably prepared for that type of question. That's a tough one. I don't know. It's a human interest story, and we really delve into their personal lives, but at the same time, I don't know how far along ago they're young, so their parents must have passed away when they were young, certainly, and I always tread lightly when it comes to loss, significant loss in people's lives.
It's the nature of the beast, and if you have great coaches, their job is to prepare you for those uncomfortable questions that could pop out of anywhere, right? So.
And I think it begs to differ. There's two sides of the coin for me. I mean, is it a professional hazard? But even as professionals, we are, regardless of the field that you're in, you are entitled to a realm of privacy. I mean, I think that is very similar to celebrities. I mean, just because you're a celebrity and you're a talented singer, it doesn't mean that you're not entitled to a personal life. So it's certainly difficult.
Yeah.
So George is saying, but it's just like being asked, how do you feel? They're excited. Why not take us through your winning moments? And I think that the answer is because they don't want to. I think the questions are very deliberate. They're trying to get them to break down. They're trying to get them to cry, and it's unfortunate, George. I mean, and we're not condoning it, certainly, but that's the heart of the story. They want to get them. They want to hit them at their lowest moment. They want to get the scoop and get the story. That's their job. We're not saying it's not an ethical question, certainly. I think it's a matter of the character of the reporter. Really has no reflection on the athlete.
Yep. Their goal is to get an emotional response out of them, so they can write their part of the story that they want to write. Like I say, it's part of the beast.
Yeah, Adrian is saying, I think they ask because they know it's at the forefront of their mind. And that's probably true too. I mean, when you would want your parents there. So it's not as if we don't forget about our parents. And fortunately, my parents are alive. But if they were, so you're right, Adrian, maybe her father was probably the first thing on her mind. And that's a good point too. So certainly that's somebody who's right. She's not thinking about it. And she wants to say, a lot of times athletes say, I did this for my father. I did this for my mother. And they want their parents to be proud of them. So you're right. Maybe that it was just, and you have to remember too, that oftentimes it's the same reporters at these events. It's just like at the White House, there does become a familiarity and a warm relationship oftentimes, I think, especially in the sporting world. So maybe it was just an innocent question and just a human interest component. Because think about it, they expose their entire personal lives when they come in. I mean, we already know that story because that's what we were told.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
Absolutely, no doubt.
Oh, so thank you, George. Great responses. Love this. I will totally tune in more. Have a great night. Thanks, George. You can catch the rest of the show. We have 15 more minutes. You can catch it on the replay, and if not, we hope to see you next week. We're on live. We're going to have a Facebook group we talked about, and we're going to dedicate it to the show. So we'll hope you join that group as well, and then you can talk to us all week. Bo and I will be interacting in the group. We love to speak to everybody, and we that's really what makes the show. We have an agenda, not even agenda. We both have bullet points we want to talk about, but much of the show is driven by the interest that our viewers have, and we certainly appreciate that.
Well, let's talk about my hometown, Jacksonville Jaguars, with Tim Tebow playing tight end, catching a touchdown pass in practice.
That's
Yeah,
impressive. I didn't even know Tim Tebow was back on. He's back in the game.
here's the story.
All right.
His college coach is now the head coach, the head football coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And they had Urban Meyer is his name. They had a great relationship. Everybody knows it. And so with the quarterback that Jacksonville drafted, the number one quarterback, right? The word started, spreading that Tim Tebow was going to get an opportunity to play for the Jaguars. And people didn't know if it was going to be quarterback or tight end or whatever. But I always knew, once I heard, based on Tim Tebow's age and his relationship with the head coach, Urban Meyer would not put his job in jeopardy to make Tim Tebow the backup quarterback after the career he had displaying as a quarterback, right?
Right.
So, but Tim Tebow's a good athlete. He's got a lot to prove. So there's something in the tank. He didn't do as well as he wanted to in baseball. Obviously, his career didn't last as long. He had he even played here for the Philadelphia Eagles as a backup, and he didn't get any run. So, but Tim Tebow is a good enough athlete where he can compete at tight end, because it's not like Jacksonville has the best tight end in the league anyway.
All right. So Brandon's asking, is Tebow going to make the team, Bo?
Absolutely.
All
Did you
right.
see who they have as the starting tight end? This guy doesn't even have 2 full seasons of stats, and this guy's been in the league like 8 years. Oh, Tim Tebow, if Tim doesn't beat him out, he will eventually beat him out by the middle part of the season. Absolutely, he's making that team because Tim Tebow is an athlete.
All right. So George is making a prediction as well. Meyer rules. Ohio Jags will be good this year. Watch out. TL has a lot of weapons and support around him.
Absolutely. I mean, Coach Myers he's a winner. He's won everywhere he's been. So he knows how to win. He knows talent. He can assess the athletes. He knows what he has, and he doesn't want to lose. So he's going to make the owner spend the money to get the athletes that he needs. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And, there's people out there who don't like Tim Tebow because of his personal stance on religion and politics. I don't look at that.
All
If
right.
you want to win and you want to compete and you want your team to win, you want the best athlete available to help you do that. And Tim Tebow is going to prove that.
All right. So Brandon wants to know if you want to bet on it, Bo.
Well, I don't bet money because I grew up Southern Baptist, but what I will do is, depending on where you are, we can bet a cheesesteak versus wherever you are in the part of the country that has a specific type of food that is well known. Like if you're in Chicago, right?
He's in Minnesota. What do they have out there?
They've got some good stuff up there. I'm willing to try. What kind of meaty stuff he's got up there? They got some meaty stuff up there.
All right, Brandon, put it out there. What's the challenge? A cheesesteak versus what's the specialty? The Minnesota specialty.
Yeah. I'll eat. I mean, I like seafood as well. Let's talk about it.
All right, so here we go. Adrian's commenting. Difference is Meyer can't recruit his players now. There's a big difference between the NFL and college success.
That's true, Adrian. That's true, but that's the executive's jobs, is to go out and get Urban Meyer the talent that he needs so he can win. Because he's not there to lose. He's not there to sully his reputation and his winning, right? He's there to win. And he's got a quarterback that can win. So he needs to put the pieces in place. Listen, my team's going to win. My hometown team's going to win. There's the Eagles, and then my hometown team after that, the Jaguars.
All right, so Amy has a question. Does she wants to know, do you think there's ever going to be an NFL have a female kicker?
If that female kicker can compete, sure, absolutely, because it'll be a great story. They're not going to put it this way. There's enough bad kickers out there that if a female kicker comes along who can kick a 50 to 60-yard field goal, she's got a job, because there's some out there already on a team that will miss left, miss right. Right. So absolutely. She's just got, whoever she is, she's got to show herself. They'll give her the opportunity. That's a story sponsors will eat up all day long. Their revenue would jack up if they were able to do that. Absolutely. Just got to find her.
So Amy's asking another question. So this was a big story this week. Thoughts on the Oklahoma Sooners going to the SEC, to the Big 12? Is that going to hurt college football?
I'm surprised. Justin didn't ask that question, because he was hounding me about that all week. What was the question again? What do I think about it?
Yeah, what do you think? What do you think? I think that Amy is actually a friend of Justin, so I think that they kind of work in tandem. So perhaps this is a Justin motivated question.
You go first. What do you think?
I don't know enough about it to weigh in. I'm going to defer to you.
Well, I think something's coming down the road that we can't see right now. Only the insiders can see what's going to happen 2 to 3 years down the road. But right now, there are the Big Five conferences. They get a chance to go to the at the end of the season during the playoffs, right?
Right.
So teams are trying to position themselves in a way where I think it's going to end up being Big Four conferences, right? North, South, East, and Midwest, or something like that, right? Because the five number doesn't make sense, right? So teams are probably positioning themselves, right? So they're going to have 4 power conferences. Those teams will compete. And then the top 2 teams or the top 3 teams will get invited to the playoffs. Because right now, I think the playoffs is 8 teams, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong. It's going to end up being a 16-team playoff for the national championship.
So Adrian's given some inside scoop here, saying the big story is going to change the balance of power in college football.
Sure.
And he's saying the Pac-12 and Big 12 are having meetings about a possible merger.
Absolutely. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. It doesn't make sense. The numbers don't add up, right? The numbers just don't add up. So you're going to take the country, you're going to divide it into 4 versus 5. That's the bottom line. Let's make it 4, make it easy. People understand that. People will understand the difference between what conference is here and there. Boom. Yeah. And then you just let the teams compete, period. That's how it's going to work out.
So George is saying he discussed this on Monday, and the NCAA has a November meeting to assess this situation. I think it will be something like 2 power conference with 4 divisions like the NFL.
I'm telling you, it's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming. Something's coming, and they know it. That's what those teams are saying. Hey, let's be the first ones. And they'd rather get into a conference that has the better reputation. Sure. Who won the championship this past season? Somebody help me out. Was it Ohio? I don't remember who won the championship, but the college football championship. But you've got the SEC. You're gonna have the teams in the West. You're gonna have the teams in the East. Bama won. Woo! I mean, Bama wins so much. I should have known that. I have family in Alabama. I should have known that. They drive me crazy.
Right. Isn't that Roll Tide? I even know that.
Yeah. So, but I like the fact that Texas wants to get in, and I like the fact that Oklahoma wants to get in, because it's going to be competitive. Absolutely. It's going to make the games even more competitive. So I'm all for it.
All right, great. So Justin's probably our number one fan, and so it looks like Amy's turning out to be our number two fan, and I'm going to show you why. Amy is Justin's sister.
Nice. Yeah, baby.
Yeah, so thank you, Amy. We appreciate you tuning in, and we adore Justin. So now I'm sure that we're gonna adore you just as much. So great. We have a sibling rivalry now here in the comments. That is an intriguing component. So we're down to the last 6 minutes. What do we want to talk about? What are we going to close it out with?
Well, I wanted to talk about the two high jumpers that shared the gold medal. That's what sportsmanship is about. That's what, right? You heard about it?
I did.
The two high jumpers, they've known each other because they've competed in competition before. So they built great relationships. And all of a sudden, they reach a certain height and the ref says, okay, we have a jump off. And they both were like, we're not going to make it. So let's just agree to both get a share and, get a gold medal piece. That's what sports is all about, right? Across country lines, across religion. I mean, so you got one guy's from Italy and the other guy is from Qatar. Qatar probably is a Muslim state, right? More than likely. So that's what sports is all about, bringing people together in the heat of competition and making a great decision to share so they both get a gold medal. That's awesome. I love that.
I want to further that by saying that's what sports should be all about. It's not always, but that's certainly what it's, that was the intent, I believe, of sports from the beginning. So George is calling us out, or no, Adrian's calling us out. We didn't answer one of Amy's questions. So he's saying Amy had a good question about Notre Dame joining the Big Ten. I want to go back to Adrian's question. So does Notre Dame need to move to the Big Ten Conference?
Big Ten in what? Football, basketball? Because remember, Notre Dame in football only went to the what did they went? They went to the ACC because of the pandemic, right?
So somebody's going to have to clarify. That's certainly not my area of expertise. Amy or Adrian, what did you mean specifically by that? Which would be? I assume we're talking about football, but I want.
Well, remember Notre Dame is unique. Notre Dame has their own independent contract.
Right, that's what Adrian
with NBC 10, with NBC, the NBC network. Right, they didn't have to. All their other sports belong to a conference. Football. So but yes, they went to the ACC last year because of the pandemic. Right. That wasn't a, what was it, a 1-year deal? Did they sign a 10-year deal? I don't know because I didn't follow it. I just kind of, paid attention a little bit. But Notre Dame is going to have to make a decision. Are they going to be standalone and continue to be that one team that's in an independent conference and compete against other teams, or they're going to join a conference? They're going to have to make that decision. Notre Dame is, So the question is, how long is that contract? That's the question.
Yeah.
I think Notre Dame needs to step out and join a conference for the long term and compete. But there's so much money in it for them where they don't have to share it with the other teams in the conference. That's why they've done it. We'll see. They're going to have to do something because things are changing and they're going to get left out.
Yeah. So
I think they should join a conference.
I agree. I don't even know a lot about it. I agree. So we're down to our last minute. Amy, we said we were going to talk about Maria Taylor and Rachel Nicholas. Now we're out of time. We'll put that on our agenda for next week. We seem to run out of time every week, which is the beauty of the show. It seems like we just started and now we're done. It's a lot of fun and I enjoy it. I'm going to throw it to you, Bill, give you a minute to say what's on your mind to talk about next week. We're going to encourage you to join our Facebook group. We're going to put that out sometime over the course of the next week. We're going to invite certainly everybody here on the sidelines to participate and join. We love the interaction, and take it away, Bo.
Well, I'm happy to hear new names, fresh names joining and viewing us. We appreciate that. We want more folks It's all about diversity. We want women, right? We want guys. We want those who understand sports, and we want those who want to learn sports. And we're not going to talk just X's and O's. We're going to talk the social aspect of sports too. So everybody's invited. Help us out.
So Randy saying good show. Thanks. We always appreciate the feedback. And if we're doing something you don't like, we're certainly open to hearing about that too. We don't want to, we're individuals and we're unique, and we're open to constructive criticism. It doesn't mean we're going to change anything, because we like who we are. We're all about that. But we're open to suggestions. So thanks thanks for another great show, everybody. As usual, we always close it out by thanking our man behind the scenes, Chris. He's our producer, and he keeps us running on track, and we couldn't do it without him. So thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, Chris.